This is a top to what we use on stage, but it's very, very special because if you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
these
and then
amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it? It's not 10. You see, most blokes, be playing at 10. You're on 10 here, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. You're on 10 on your guitar. Where can you go from there? Where?
I don't know.
Nowhere, exactly. What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Greetings, Extreme fans, and welcome to Extremecast, the most unprofessional and unofficial Extreme podcast on the air. This is John, longtime friends of the guys in the band, and guest gang vocalist and narrator on Pat's new solo album, The Nasty Ass Honey Badgers. I was privileged to record at Ice Station Zebra with Pat, K-Fig, Gary Sharon, Blue, two-time Grammy winner Ducky Carlisle, and some other well-known names. Enjoy the podcast, and don't forget to go to pledgemusic.com/badger and pre-order your copy and get down and dirty with a honey badger, bitch! Ha ha!
Alright everybody, welcome to Extremecast episode 7. I'm here with Pontus Skold, otherwise known as Zeb Stripe. How you doing, man?
Doing fine. Here from cold Stockholm.
Cold Stockholm.
Yeah.
Have you got the fires going yet?
The fire's going?
Yeah.
Is that now?
You're heating? Yeah, mine's going.
Oh, yeah, like that fire. I don't know, actually. I like it cold. I actually ran into my bedroom and brought a fan right now because my apartment's really hot. So I don't know about the fires yet, but probably.
Okay. Well, you guys spend too much time in your saunas. It probably keeps you cold afterwards. All right,
also
so
the fins, I think. Yeah.
Lots has happened since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, and the last time we spoke were like was it 6 or 7 years ago?
Probably a bit longer than that. I remember I was wearing my school uniform at the time.
Yeah.
So it seems
like
I
was
ago.
Unborn.
Oh yeah, you're quite young, aren't you? I forgot.
Yeah, I am.
So
about 6 or 7.
I should explain. We've got somebody missing here today, Antti. So he has given his excuses and asked us to take over this podcast for one episode only. Essentially, Antti is back in school, learning to do a new trade, and we are here filling the time as best we can. And we've got a long list of things to get through, right, Zeb?
Yep.
Cool, excellent. So let's start. We're going to go in some sort of chronological order, back from February, which seems like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But before we do that, actually, let's take a second, maybe to just pay homage to our man Nuno, who was the grand old age of 50 this week.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because he's been like in a limbo, almost like he this is going really great already. I feel like just stumbling upon words. In my mind, he seemed like he was like 46 for maybe 5 or 6 years or something. So it's really weird when someone asked me like how old is he? It was like 46, and I've been saying that for quite some time now. So it's really hard to actually to understand that he has actually turned 50 and he's officially an old man.
Yes, well, I'm not far behind, to be fair, but there you go. Well, the way I look at this is I remember back when my parents were a certain age and they were following bands like, I'm trying to think of some famous bands from the 70s, maybe Deep Purple, that kind of thing, and thinking, geez, those guys have been going for how many years? 25 years, 30 years? Geez, they're so old. When are they going to stop? And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
But these guys, they're a very special band, obviously, to us. They've been going for a long time. It's a long time between studio albums, but I think I think personally that Nuno will keep going until he's probably 70 odd. I think until he just stops of exhaustion one day.
Yeah, I think so. He's like he is like a, how do you say? He has the mind of a workhorse or something like that. He just wants to work, well, 24/7 basically.
Yeah.
So I think it should be probably something like exhaustion, or something like that. I don't think he's gonna like retire. Not really by by his own choice.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. All right, then let's move on. So we've got back in February there was a TV show called Scorpion. Now I'd never heard of this until Anthony pointed me towards it, but it's essentially an American show. I watched an episode. It's series 2, episode 16, and in that show there was a couple of guys who are in a pretty tricky situation, and they need to get some work together to find some rhythm to get out of a particularly horrible situation where they're escaping a burning building or whatever it is, and they choose a particular song to help them find some rhythm to walk along together. Have you
Yeah.
seen this clip?
Yeah, I just saw the clip you linked to me earlier, and so I watched it completely out of context since you told me like from what point to watch and all that. So all I saw basically was the two guys like strapping some cable ties or whatever to their legs and then walking with the same pace. It made no sense whatsoever. So this topic on this like list, this agenda, makes even less. It's not logical to me. But yeah, sure. Should we let them guess what song they chose for
Absolutely.
a mainstream
Yeah,
mainstream TV show? It was more than words, of course.
that's it. It's just quite a funny scene. These guys are trying to rack their brains, trying to think of a song that's slow and rhythmic and allows them to find some pace. But it's very funny. Worth checking out.
Yeah.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Nuno's not Portuguese. I know it's a shock for you, but Nuno's not Portuguese. There was a print mistake on a feature in Rock and Rolling magazine in 1986. And Nuno was young and he was shy. It felt awkward. So he kind of went along with it. And he grew up. Thing grew up by itself, and it was too late to admit it was actually Spanish.
So what else has happened? So what happened after that? We had the
Grammys.
The Grammys, a slight episode there. Can you remember what happened with that?
Not really. This is like such a long time ago. So I can't really
Did we
like.
help you out with that one?
Yeah.
Because I remember it
Yes, please.
vividly. So basically, as I understand it, Rihanna was about to go on with Nuno in support, and for whatever reason pulled out at the last second. And
Oh,
there
yeah.
was- Yeah, you remember that? There was a lot of talk around this, and there was a few rumours flying around that perhaps she'd been abusing some kind of substance and wasn't able to go on because she was stoned or whatever else. Now, I think
Yeah.
Nuno came out to her defence and basically said, look, she's a young artist. If she's not ready to go on for whatever reason, then she shouldn't go on. But what I believe the aftershock from that was a bunch of abuse towards Nuno, which is a little bit out of likes. I mean, have you ever come across anybody that's wasted backstage in your wildness gigs?
Well, yeah, not really that bad, I think.
Other than the band.
Other than the band, yeah, I think like one or two times maybe, but it's not really. I don't know. We're just like a very very small band, so we haven't really gotten in contact with that like ugly world yet, and I hope we never will. But I've seen some guys in other bands and in bigger bands as well being like really up their heads on what I guess is alcohol, but might be something else as well. But I remember this because Nuno made, was it like one or two like really long posts about like just showing his praise towards Rihanna and that she's a really great artist and she's basically like a great person and all that. So that he got so much like, well, basically Rihanna fan trolls. It's really weird, I think.
Yeah, it is really weird. I think if you're an artist and somebody else comes out to support you, regardless of what happened, I don't think you should target the person that's speaking in her defence. So I'm pleased that he did sort of stand up for her, because she's got a bit of a history, that one. Likes
Yeah.
the limelight. So I also heard a rumor. There was an interview not long after that Grammy situation where, and I'd read about this before it was on there, but there's apparently a new Extreme album coming out in 2017.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now I read elsewhere that there was 17 songs recorded for this. So what are your thoughts? Do you think they'll issue all 17 on the album, or do you think we'll see less than that with a few, maybe a couple of B-sides or something?
Probably less than that. I would like. I would probably expect something like 12 or 13 or something like that. Maybe one Japanese bonus track or something. But I would be very surprised if they release 17 songs. It's really uncommon these days to do that. Unless there are like 17 2.5 minute songs, but that's not really what Extreme is about. So I wouldn't really count on that. But it's going to be really, really fun to hear it, because Saw Dodge.
That's it.
That's really, yeah, it was pretty
Good
good.
accent too.
Yeah. I watched the Wikipedia page. It has like the phonetical writing. It's Saw Dodge. So yeah, that's good. Anyhow, it has really grown on me, and it has like some really killer songs on there. Like Last Hour is one of my favorite Extreme songs of all time.
Oh wow.
And yeah, the guitar solo is just ridiculous. So it has some great vibes to it, and I'm really curious about what it's going to sound like.
Yeah, me too.
If they're going back to the porno roots, or maybe revisiting the three sides kind of like progressive vibe, since they have been like playing porno again. We'll probably get to that later, and also three sides, some of that. So it's going to be really fun to discover what they had in mind for this new album. So hopefully we'll see it in 2017.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we're all rooting for that one. What I'm particularly interested in is to know what sort of musical style they follow, because one thing that was clear about Saw Dodge or Sal Dodge. I'm going to pronounce Sal Dards. There we go. It's easier for me. But one thing I noticed, sausages de rock. What I really noticed about that album was it was all over the place in terms of styles. Not that I'm complaining, but there was some rockabilly in there. There was some really good ballads like Ghost. I absolutely love, and the video I think was brilliant for that song.
Yeah, like Flower Man was like really weird for me.
Yeah. Did that remind you of the Police? It sounded like the Police to me.
Yeah, a bit, but it's like it's punky in some way. I don't really know. It's it has like 20,000 different styles, and I like that as well. But I obviously I'm more like interested in the Comfortably Dumb, the straightforward like rock type of songs, and the ballads, of course. So I hope it's like a little bit more focused, and like the Take Us Alive track. I thought that was like really it was only fun to me. It's a good song. It has a great chorus and all that. But as a massive Van Halen fan who did like Big Bad Bill and other like kind of like fun parody songs or whatnot, I thought of Take Us Alive like one of those songs that it was so off that it became great. And I don't think that was what they had in mind. They just wanted like a really fast blazing country song. And it's a great song, but it was like too out of the mix to stay serious to me, kind of.
Do you know what I think happened with that song? This is a pure guess, of course, but I think what happened is they were probably, or Nuno was sitting somewhere messing around with his guitar, had a particular patch on, or was unplugged in the amp and just started playing that riff. That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
And he just thought, "Wow, I'm going to turn this into a song." And I mean, I'm not a songwriter, right? But I like to dabble around, and certainly I think sometimes you just play something and you think, "Holy shit, that was awesome." 9 times out of 10, of course, you don't you don't write it down or you don't record it and it's lost forever. But I think if you're a professional songwriter and a fantastic musician, then you do take the time to do that. And I think they probably just turned that into a song as most songs come about. But it just shows you, I think, touring with so many different artists and working with so many other people and producing other bands, he probably takes a bit of influence from so many different people, and it just comes out. Do you remember the old what was the video called? Pornograffitti, I want to say, or Pornograffitti, I can't remember.
It had both photography and video graffiti as well.
Photography, that's probably maybe the one I'm thinking of.
I think photo is was photo the laser disc, or I have it on like VHS in my bedroom, but I think it was like photography.
But they mentioned, do you remember in there people were they mentioned in an interview that people were slating them for recording more than words because it was a ballad, you're a metal band. And I remember Nuno at one point mentioning, music is music, you go through moods, sometimes you just want to sit down and play, or words to that effect. And I think that for me was what Sausages the Rock was all about.
Yeah.
I tried 3 times to say it again.
That's good. Well, Nuno himself said sausages in that outdoors interview, so I think it's legit to call it sausages.
We'll get away with that one.
Yeah, sure. So the next one, what do we have? John Sarabian.
Sausages.
He's
a good friend of our podcast, is John, and he's thank you for the introduction, my friend. We're really appreciative of that.
Yeah, very good.
And he's been keeping us up to date with all the Badger updates, which we'll come on to again in a minute as well. But special thanks to John for the intro, and for all of the pictures of Pat and Gary and Blue sausages in the studio. Really great to see that happening, and I kind of hope, actually, to be fair, I was hoping that they would do some kind of pledge for Extreme's latest album, because those kind of updates from the whole band from Extreme would be out of this world, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that would be like paradise. And also, as a fan as a like materialistic guy, imagine all the merchandise and like rarities.
Mate,
I'm just like
would go broke.
Yeah, I would go broke. I'm going broke as it is, like on eBay and stuff. So that would probably like ruin me completely. But yeah, I hope so.
Cool.
Let's watch and wait.
One day, maybe the next album in another 8-9 years would be awesome.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Gary Cherone is related to Kim Kardashian. It's a relation that you won't notice if you look frontally. They're like third cousins or something like that. But if you look at Gary's buttocks, if you pause, and you may notice the resemblance.
Okay, so what else has happened? So we've got a Schizo 20th anniversary to talk about. It's coming out only in Japan, as I understand it. What are your memories of Schizo? Is that one of your favourites?
Not at all, actually. This is like swearing in church. Do you say that? Is that an expression in England as well?
It is, yeah. Might not want to dwell on this point.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because everyone has their favourites. I know you're not keen on Punchline either. Schizo for me sounds like an album. It probably is an album of demos. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, probably we're gonna get lynched now, I think. But yeah, I like Schizo, and I think it's got some really good songs on there. But it was like it's a bit too much like 90s and like not really experimental, but it has like a certain really rough sound. And
can I be daring there? Because I think it's classic rock starting to meet with new age sort of grungy different times, right? It was a different time.
We cut out.
Oh, hello. All right, let's try and pick up where we were then, which was so Schizo. Just talking about 20th anniversary edition, and I wondered if it could possibly the album could be the result of new rock meeting old rock. So I'm thinking about sort of grungy influences meeting the more traditional sort of early 90s, late 80s rock that we've been up against. Do you think Schizo was a bit of a clash of the two genres, and Nuno moving into new new musical influences?
Uh, yeah, like sort of, I think, because I'm since I'm very well, I'm very hostile towards grunge and everything grunge, basically, as you know.
I do.
So I, I think you know, uh, but I think that I'm having like some trouble hearing the old like influences, the influences from older music, and I tend to just focus on the bad stuff, the grunge. So I think that maybe I can't really hear those old influences as good as you guys can, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you know, Anti's going to kill you after this.
Yeah, I know, but it's really good that he's not here.
But he's not here. I was going to say, let's do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
play Punchline from start to finish.
That's not what we want. That was
Oh,
you want.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Kevin Figueredo played keyboards on Hit Me Baby One More Time. You know that part that goes like, that was Kevin. He played it once and it was looped again and again. So it was only paid for one instance. And he never made much money. So that's why he couldn't afford a haircut. And he had this really massive white fro.
Should we move on?
But-
What else has happened this year so far?
We've got the Ultimate Jam Night. When was that? It was back in like May or June, something like that.
Well, he seems to have done it a few times, hasn't he, from what I've seen? And I've been trying to keep an eye on it because we've got some related musicians such as Carl Restivo. Obviously, Falazzo is I think he's the musical director of Jam Night or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but they get a lot of people together and essentially just throw these people onto the Lucky Strike stage, and whatever comes out of that evening, it seems to be a really good sort of cross section of all different types of music and covers and stuff. So Nuno did it's done it a few times I think now, but one particular occasion he turned up in a suit and did a Muse cover. Yeah, what did you think of that?
I'm not a Muse fan at all. Actually, I find them really like, and I must come across as a really happy guy right now and just bashing everything. But Muse is it's not really my type of music. But they did a really cool version of that, and I was really, yeah, I thought it was really cool. Later, he did some other covers. That wasn't the Ultimate Jam Night. It was something else, I guess, when he did a Fall Out Boy cover.
Yeah.
And that has a really, really, really cool chorus. And I think that they did a brilliant rendition of that.
See, this is interesting because sometimes when I hear a cover of a song, I think, oh, that sounds pretty good. But if I go back to the original Eddie Fall Out Boy album or song, I just hear noise that really makes my ears want to bleed. It's too much.
Yeah. I think the same. The reason I like that that particular song is that the falsettos in the chorus is really cool. But at the same time, I'm kind of mad because Van Halen has a song called "On Fire," which is the chorus is basically consisting of falsettos singing "On Fire" as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they borrowed like quite a lot from the Van Halen song, but I think that Nuno and the rest of the band, was it like Maria as well, or who was singing lead vocals on that one?
Yeah, I think she's certainly been in it. Yeah, it was good. So
Yeah, it was really good.
Have you been following Maria's various tunes she's been putting out on social media, and seems to have been plugged by Nuno a few times, I think.
Yeah. I think she's really, really talented. So it's cool to hear some new music from the Betancourts.
Yeah, talented bunch of people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And of course the Chirones and the Badgers and the Figueredos. But we don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
many. We don't know a lot about Kevin's family. Whether he's got any musical, aunts or uncles or granddads or
Probably.
yeah,
I
probably.
mean, I mean, like with that band, is it really possible not to be like a virtuoso or have like emerge from a family of virtuosos?
Mm.
I don't really think so. So I think that Kevin has probably some, yeah, some musical past as well.
I mean, I guess a more interesting question would be: do all the family, including the women, have chops?
Have what?
Chops.
Oh,
Kevin's chops.
yeah, probably.
I imagine it when I think about it. No, let's move on.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Pat's real name is Patrick Neil Obligukini, and he's rumored to be a Highlander, and I don't mean a Scottish one, I mean an immortal Highlander.
So, Nuno did a bit of drumming on the Ultimate Jam Nights as well. Always good to see because he's a fantastic drummer.
Who, Nuno?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, now everyone's gonna kill me. He's a good drummer. He's a good drummer. Um, when you think about it's his second instrument, then he's really good. But
Second. That's probably fourth or fifth or sixth, isn't it?
oh, that was like a figure of speech, I guess. Like a not his first instrument then. Because I've like heard he has really kind of a like punky style, not too much dynamics. So he's a good timekeeper, but not quite a pro drummer,
And
I'd
Mike
say.
Mangini.
I would love to see a drum battle between those two.
Yeah, and Kevin and Jeff Concey's. I used to really like Jeff Concey's style because he hit really hard and was incredibly funky.
Yeah,
He was a good, a very good, I think a very good mix with the kind of music they were playing at the time in Mourning Widows. But I love Kevin's style because he basically is able to adapt, doesn't he, very easily to the more modern stuff that comes out and the new releases and whatever they've made, but also picks up the back catalogue of not only Mike Mangini's stuff but Paul Gary's stuff before that, which is is a good ability to have, right?
he is like he has the power to adapt, as you said, like between the really fast and the groovy, heavy drums. Because I used to say that there are like two types of drummers. There's the John Bonham type and the Jeff Porcaro type of drummer. Like you got the really heavy, groovy, slow, massive beast that is Bonham, and you got like the tight, fast drummer that is Porcaro. And I think that he has the ability. Kevin has the ability to change very rapidly between those. And I think that's really amazing because most drummers like pick a side.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good drummer.
He is. He's second only in my book to the young kid from Hanson.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so we've had another new release this year, haven't we?
Yeah. The second Badger album.
Nasty Ass Honey Badgers.
I really love that name.
So do I.
I think it's so much more like, yeah, it's more awesome. It's Badger is good, but this really brings like a new context to it.
Yeah, new
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, another really solid album from Pat there. I think he worked with the same crew as before, but there was some influences from the likes of Gary Sharon and Justin Hawkins, who played the guitar, and the solo and the collaboration between those three on Evil Queen was pretty special, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was like quite some time since I've heard that.
Yeah.
But I've heard it like 2 or 3 times maybe. And that's actually the only thing I've heard from it.
Well, you need to get
So
the rest. I don't know if it's still available actually, because the pledge site has closed, or the pledge is closed. So hopefully they'll be able to release it. I'm guessing there's a time delay before it goes out on some sort of iTunes release or something. But I recommend it to everyone. It's a very solid album.
yeah, I hope to get my hands on it really soon.
Cool, good stuff.
Yeah.
And we had
And
a
then-
bit of go on.
Yeah. Just off the top of my mind, and
Yeah.
not from some list we're both reading from. The sausages. We've got the Generation X tour. And I'm just gonna see here. No, it doesn't say anywhere who played on it, so I'm gonna actually ask you, because
You
I know
can
you
ask me.
had some trouble on remembering who played on that tour.
Yeah, I have an absolutely terrible memory, so I basically had to go off and write down who was on that tour, because I knew.
Oh, you wrote it down.
I thought I did, but obviously I didn't. Yeah, but anyway, it was our boy Nuno Betancourt, Zach Wilde was there, Yngwie Malmsteen. I pronounced
Tosin
that right
Abasi.
first
Yeah,
time.
that was really good.
That was awesome. Steve Vai and Tosin Abasi, which I pronounced again correctly too, so I'm really pleased. But this was a really interesting one for me, because I never thought we'd see Nuno and Yngwie on the same stage, seeing as there was an incident, of course, many years ago where Nuno asked, as a young fan, asked Yngwie for his signature, and Yngwie said, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
So I never thought those two would share a stage. But what did you make of that? Because that's a really interesting bunch of people with very different styles.
It is a very like colorful bunch, except for Yngwie, because I guess what? I don't like him.
Do you know what? I had a feeling that might be coming.
Yeah, he's too shreddy for me. But I really like the idea, because they all play like metal or heavy rock in some aspect, but I still think that they are so different, and they are groundbreaking on their own in their own ways. So it has been really great to view some footage from it, especially when they do some medleys. They actually played. Did you see the Boston song they played?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Foreplay. And that is like, it's such a random choice for me, because I'm a huge Boston fan, and it was really fun to hear them play that one, and I can only guess that it was like Nuno's idea, since he's a big Boston fan as well, but I could have been like Yngwie or someone else, or Vi. But funny,
if Yngwie had his way, it would have been wall to wall 4 hours of widdly violin impressions on a guitar.
just like any fucking Yngwie concert. I think it's like so boring. It's just, I mean, the neoclassical scale, fine, if you do it once in one solo, but to build your career on that same like pattern, no, just doesn't work for me. But the really cool thing about this tour is that we got, or at least I did, I was introduced to a new guitar player, which was Tosin Abasi. And it was kind of like obvious that he and Nuno, to a certain extent, found each other, because they both have like the very, very rhythmic style, and they have like a feeling for the rhythm that is really spectacular. So to watch them jam with each other was really, really cool. Nuno and him played, what's it called? The Animals as Leaders song. I can't remember it right now, but it's from their first album, I think. It's really, really good. Very, very progressive, but it was awesome to have two such rhythmic players. That was hard to say.
Well, I can see they played
shared
Highway
stage.
Star by Deep Purple. They played Frankenstein by Edgar Winter.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to see if there's anything in Physical Education.
yeah, that's it.
Yep.
It has some like really, twisted drum patterns and all that. It's kind of like hard to hard to get a grip on first time you hear it, but it's got some great melodies. And I just got the CD the other day, actually, the first Animals as Leaders CD. So yeah, it introduced me to that style of music and that band, and I'm really happy for that. So it was a really cool tour, and I hope they do like a new rendition of it, with or without Nuno, and maybe some new players.
Who would you like to see in there if you had a choice?
I'd love to see Warren DeMartini. He's also a very, very. Do you know him?
I'm nodding like I do, but I don't.
Okay.
But I will check him out.
Yeah, sure. He's the guitar player for Rat.
Ah, I knew the name from
So
somewhere.
yeah, he has like a really swingy guitar style, and I think it would be play really well with Nuno. And Nuno and Kevin, I think, played a Rat song called "Way Cool Junior" with him a few years back. So it's on YouTube.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to see it in. I'd love to see a tour like that around Europe. That would be pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Mike Mangini is half centaur. You know those half man, half horse creatures. Mike Mangini is half of that.
Okie dokie, so I'm going to skip forward and let's have a think about towards the end of May we had the 75th anniversary of Azores Airlines, and Nuno and Maria did More Than Words, Purple Rain and Superstition with Louis Betancourt. Now, Superstition, I think Extreme have played before, haven't they, if I remember rightly? Many, many years ago. I'm sure I had a bootleg of that.
Played Azores.
Oh, no, it was, so Superstition, it wasn't, it was Play That Funky Music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but some pretty cool songs there, and Purple Rain is no easy song to pull off, right? Even though it's quite simple, it's a emotional song, especially with Prince's really sad passing.
Yeah, it's but Nuno did it like quite a few times live, and I think he pulled it off every time. I think he really nails that, nails the vibe very good. So I haven't seen this one. I don't know if it's like recorded in some way, but I'm convinced that he did a very good job this time as well.
I've seen it before, and he did do a very good job on that. It's been a bit of a crazy period, isn't it? Because we've got Prince up there now. We've got David Bowie up there. I wonder what they're making of each other, because those are two musical powerhouses we've lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a Bowie fan. I certainly didn't used to be, although Labyrinth is my favourite film of all time, and I picked up a bit of Bowie from that. But I've over the last couple of years actually got more and more into his back catalogue, and although on first listen you might think it's quite a kind of mainstream sound he's got, actually, you know what, he did some really daring stuff without really following any trends, which I thought was quite an interesting interesting path for an artist to take if they're a solo artist, particularly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a pretty, not really a big Bowie fan. I like his music a lot, but I am not really that. I'm not like a geek or anything like that. But I definitely like his 70s stuff more than the 80s stuff. He did some brilliant things in the 80s as well, but it was maybe a little bit too like 80s poppy for me, some of it at least. But the 70s stuff was like, it's so good. It's like really, it's painfully good.
Groundbreaking, wasn't it? Really, a lot of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that he was not following trends. He was more like actually creating new trends. Not maybe not without knowing it, but without like caring about it. That's really what made him so special.
Yeah. And he was also obviously quite a controversial figure at the time because he was fairly, what's the word, promiscuous. You know, he was openly bisexual. He went on stage wearing very revealing
Like daring.
clothes, very
Yeah.
daring clothes, and that obviously made a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable in their own skin, which I think it's down to people like him that actually, allow people to perhaps be a bit more free about their sexuality and perhaps the way they want to dress and that kind of thing. It's interesting when you think about it that way because I remember there was an interview or a documentary where in the middle of a song where he was Ziggy Stardust, he put his arm. It's a live performance. He put his arm round the guitarist, and there was uproar. Oh my
Oh yeah,
gosh!
yeah.
What a gay thing to do. It was really bad. But you don't. Nobody even thinks twice nowadays when that kind of thing happens. It's really. It seems odd to me that back in those days it was so frowned upon, and therefore we've got to thank people like Bowie for allowing that kind of movement, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think that like it's thanks to him that I find that like kind of behavior or like that kind of criticism out of this world. I've never encountered anything like that. Um, and then I'm speaking about the critique that he received for that incident. Haven't ever like gotten any frowns while doing any of that. So I'm really thankful because it's obviously thanks to people like him who stood up for I don't know
For anybody.
for
Yeah,
anybody
do
for
whatever you want to
friendship
do on the
whatever.
stage, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Him and Iggy Pop was a good friend of his, as I understand it, and Iggy went slightly opposite direction by getting so off his face on drugs that he would slice himself open.
yeah,
Which, yeah, maybe a little bit extreme. Anyway, back onto extreme.
yeah.
So June the 8th, it was a 25th birthday of a particular single. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Was like less than
Less than
sentences or
something
something like
about
that.
numbers. I don't know,
Or
but
thoughts. Yeah.
some song.
Yeah. The MTW, of course.
Yes, it turned 25. How
Yes.
old are you, my friend? I forget.
I'm turning 25 next year
I
in
thought you
February.
might be. So you weren't even alive when it came out.
No, I'm kind of
Okay.
like used to that. Like everyone, I wear like I wear mostly I wear shirts that are older than me. So people like when I'm out on bars and all that, it's quite often that older people come up to me and say, "Oh, well, you weren't even born when that band released this and that," and it's like, yeah, I know. And
You
I'm
could just tell them
fairly close with Extreme,
you could
but
just tell them you're 45 and have had a lot of work done.
exactly,
Surgery
yeah,
keeps you
it's
young.
the surgeons do miracles these days. So yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, it's really cool. The 25th because they at the last Badger Pledge campaign, um, he released a video right from when they were like cutting the cake.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you could see them signing this, but it was on the day that the song went number one.
Hmm.
So that's really cool that we got some footage from that.
It makes me wonder if
time.
there's a load of lost, or not lost footage, but a load of footage that never seen the light of day that would be really interesting to all of us fans.
Yeah, I mean, I was like over the moon every time he released something new from that campaign, and I've got it all like saved. I'm thinking about like maybe doing a DVD for my own amusement, like just being able to put on the Badger Pledge DVD or something like that because it's so much good material when they're jamming with Roger Daltrey and all that. It's so good. So
Fantastic. Good old Pat. Thank you, Pat, for all that stuff.
thank you, Pat.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also had a poll on the Facebook site for what's your most favourite Extreme album? Now, did the results surprise you on this?
Not well, a little bit actually, because should we reveal the results?
Yeah, go for it.
So Pornograffitti and Three Sides, it became a tie basically. They both received 118 votes. And then we've got Punchline as number 2 with 40 votes, and Saudage,
Sausages.
19 votes. Oh yeah, the debut, of course, with 18 votes. So it's quite a gap there between Porno, Three Sides, and Punchline. But what surprised me the most is that because I was convinced that Three Sides would win. That's really it seems to be most fans' favorite record. But a lot of people like Punchline as well. So I would have expected Three Sides to win, Porno as number 2, and then Punchline not too far behind, I guess.
So I would have expected the debut album to be a good solid third. Maybe that's just me, but it's one of my favourites.
Yeah, definitely not the last one. That surprised me a lot.
Yeah. It was good to do that. We're going to do some more polls, I think, in the future and just get everybody's opinion on certain things. I mean, it could be singles, it could be all sorts of stuff. But it's really interesting to share where everybody comes from. And also, what would be really interesting, I think, is to find out, if we put a list of songs on there, what was the first Extreme song you heard that turned you onto the band? That would be a really interesting one to hear.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And then we could do it like this and review the results on the next Extremecast. Should be maybe become a regular feature. Would be really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll be happy with that. So on to July, we had an interview on a local Boston radio show with a guy called Joey Kramer, who interviewed Gary and Pat, and effectively, long story short, what they said on the interview was that there's a live DVD coming this fall, which we know about, which incidentally has been delayed, as I understand it, by a lot
twice
reports from a lot of people. Yeah, we'll come on to that in a second. Of course, new tunes next year with a fully fledged tour on the way. So let's tackle those in order. The DVD's been delayed a couple of times. What do you think's going on there? Is it a mastering issue or some other kind of manufacturing problem? What do you think?
Actually, I have no idea. I think that, well, it's anyone's guess, I suppose, but it's a bummer because the first wasn't supposed to be out today originally.
Yeah.
I think it was like 23rd, and then it was like postponed to the 14th, right? Something like that. And now some reports, people are reporting that they've gotten emails from Amazon and the likes of it, and the new date is something like 20-something October.
Yeah.
And that sucks, quite frankly. I guess we both pre-ordered the Blu-ray. Actually, is there even coming in DVD, or is it just like the Blu-ray and the 2-disc set?
Do you know what? I just focused on the word Blu-ray because I thought if I could if I get the Blu-ray, it doesn't matter whether it comes with a DVD or not because I'll probably just rip it and play it on my mobile devices. But I mean, I'm quite sad about that because I was really looking forward to it. But on the same token, none of us really know what's going on. In fact, we'll try and we'll put this down as one of the questions that we're going to ask to the management to see if we can get some answers on that. I suspect it's probably not anything to do with the band. I think it's something else in the process because as I understand it, there's generally a lot of complications, a lot of people involved with distributors that sort this stuff out, and there could be all sorts of problems. So we'll try and get some answers on that. But the important point was that they mentioned new tunes next year. We're still hoping that's going to be earlier in the year than later in the year, of course. And a fully fledged tour on the way. So that means they at this stage anyway, they fully intend to tour the album, which I'm really pleased about.
Yeah, and I really hope they will do like an extreme leg, a European leg on the tour as well, because we haven't really been seeing that much of Extreme lately. We've got the 2015 tour, but that was like a summer festival tour mainly, and some UK dates in 2014. But they should really tour Europe to its full extent and not only like Japan and Indonesia or what have you.
Yeah, that's it. Well, they didn't they announce another show in London last time, I think, if I remember rightly, because it was sold out. So Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to more than anything is new music, because as much as I loved seeing Pornograffitti back to back, I was in awe for the entire show. Um, I really want to hear some new stuff. Really want to hear some new stuff. So
Yeah.
even if they can't release the album at the time they intended to do it, maybe they could release I don't know, some sort of
Single.
B-side or single or something. Even if it doesn't feature on the album, just hearing something new, I think would give us so much to talk about. It'd be great.
Yeah, it would be really awesome. So, as you said, fingers crossed.
Yep, and of course we've seen the man himself in his home studio. As I understand it, that's where most of the recording has happened, if not all of it.
Yeah.
So, what do you make of that? Because I'm guessing there's a fair amount of Pro Tools involved, and I don't know what Nuno's studio is like, but I'd imagine it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I mean, he has like a long history of producing both his own and Extremes and other artists' music. So I think that the music is in good hands, of course, but I think that I hope that he's not like oh, what's the expression in English?
Sausages.
Yeah, thank you, sausages. Man, no, but I really think that he I don't really know how to explain this. Doesn't overdo it. Basically, that was like simplifying it a lot.
I know what you're talking about. Is this the constant tweaking and refining and reworking that happens?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people like Michael Wagner and Bob Rock and everyone says that Nuno is a perfectionist, and he won't let anything go unless he think it's perfect, basically.
Yeah.
And that might be, I mean, sure, there has been like numerous delays on when they were supposed to be start working on the album. But I think that now when they're like actually doing it, I hope that it won't take too much time, because he needs it to be like perfect.
Yeah.
Because overdoing it is kind of bad in most cases. And yeah, but back to the studio, I think that they have like all the gear needed there, and yeah, I'm really glad that they are like actually showing life signs of a recording process and all that. So that's really good.
Yep, I agree. I'd settle for a 5-track EP recorded on a 4-track system. That would do me.
Yeah, I mean, like not Song for Love. It was When I First Kissed You, and what was the other one? Seven Sundays. Was a couple of songs actually was like a very primitive.
It's a synthesizer,
Like,
wasn't it? And a home recording unit back in whenever it was in the early 90s. It must have been, because you can hear the crackle on the microphone, can't you? That was being used.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that is like, what was it? Like from Porno, it was When I First Kissed You and Wholehearted. I think those were like the original bedroom recordings that made it to the record, and that's impressive.
Very impressive.
So and those songs are proof that doesn't really matter how you record them, as long as Extreme are doing it, we are going to be satisfied, probably.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Here's one for the gearheads. At the beginning of the solo, It's a Monster, you can clearly hear slightly muted sound on lead guitar. That's because Nuno was holding a nice cold cherry can merely seconds before playing it. For you youngsters who have no clue about what a cherry coke is, just imagine a can of coke and a cherry had a baby, and the baby came out horribly disfigured. Anyways, to achieve the exact sound, you must submerge your strumming hand in liquid nitrogen for like 6 seconds and then just clap really hard.
The next topic, I suppose, is his. This is like his kind of Hall of Fame induction or something like that. On his in his hometown or home island. Because this was fairly recently, was July 30th. um, and it was basically some kind of not monument, but some kind of like tile sculpture of sorts
Yes.
that was presented in his can you say in his honor when he's still alive.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Um, and basically it was like the city council or something like that. I'm just like kind of guessing right now who the people on the videos and pictures were, but maybe like the mayor of this island or something like that, were like presenting him with this little memorial sculpt. No, not memorial. That's when you're dead, right?
That is when you're dead. I was waiting for you
Yeah,
to stop. He's not dead yet. He's only 50. He's
he's
got
not
plenty
dead
of
yet.
time.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it was all in. Oh, the video was in Portuguese, if I remember, and it was all about recognizing, I guess, his homeland, recognizing that he's a guy that's got an enormous amount of talent and has represented his roots very well out there in the States and beyond. So it was nice to see. I mean, maybe one day there'll be one for you back in your village in Sweden. Maybe a memorial.
I
If you make
highly
it to
doubt
50.
that. Yeah, if I make it to 50, yeah.
But it was good. All right, so we've already talked about Pat's new album. I urge everybody to go out and get that as soon as it's on mainstream release if you haven't got it already.
Yep.
And what else has happened? So Nuno did a Gearphoria interview. Now I've seen a couple of these rig tours that he does. There was one actually that was recorded, I think, the night before or the day before or the day of the gig in London that he did on the porno tour.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. I don't know if you saw that, but there was a rig tour and then there was a straight up interview with a guy, and it was really interesting.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, because he plays actually. He doesn't. There's not a lot of complication, is there, in his rig setup? It's fairly straightforward.
It is, and he's actually using, or at least he did the year before on the Rihanna tour. I think he still does. He uses the Boss GT8, which is like a multi-effects processor.
That's a digital effects unit, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you? I can ask you a question now. As a guitarist, how do you feel about that? Because I'll let you into a secret here. I was in a gig. It was a satellite party gig, and I was there with a guy called James Hamer, who some people might remember was Raven Voice from the old forums.
Okay.
And there was another guy that was along from us. It was a friend of James, and that unit came out and was plonked in front of the crowd on the floor, and they turned to each other and they went, "No!" There seems to be a bit of bias towards digital effect units, and I wondered what you thought of that.
Well, it's not really the digital effects, I think, because it's I mean, pretty much every player today and for like the past 20, 25, 30 years has been like implementing some kind of like digital effects unit, whether it's like a delay pedal or it's like chorus or something like that. But the thing about the GT8 is that it's you can get one for like £100 now or something like that. It's fairly old. It's maybe
Hang on.
like 15.
Back in a minute. Just going to eBay.
Oh,
Go on, carry on.
yeah. It's a really great piece. So I can really recommend it. But the thing is that it's not really what you'd expect like a world touring guitar player of that magnitude to play. Since it's very like user friendly and it's got some really great effects, but I was not really expecting Nuno to play one of those. And yeah, that was a part of his live rig back in 2013, and I'm pretty sure he used it on the 2014 and 15 tours as well. Mm-hmm. So that was yeah, it was cool to see what kind of like stuff he plays. But other than that, it was maybe like one Boss TU2, I think, like a tuning pedal, the same one I use.
Mm-hmm.
And
You tune your guitars?
no, just for shows, man. It's just like people need to see that I make some kind of effort.
It's not even plugged in, is it? You just stamp on it and look like you're tuning it.
We talked about this, not live on the podcast, man.
Yeah. That's
anyway,
not even you playing. Let's be honest.
no, it's
Zowie backstage playing his guitar.
yeah. Of course
With
it's
teeth.
sound. But the thing, another thing, since you mentioned that his rig is not complicated and all that, I don't know if you've seen this clip, but in some of these rig interview things, he was asked about his cables, like what type of guitar cable do you use, and he said that um, I regularly usually I just go into a guitar shop and ask for the cheapest ones because those are actually the most reliable. They're the best like types of cable you can use.
Really?
And that is, yeah, and that is really, that's a surprise also, because basically it's true. I think when I think about it, um, the cables that have been like holding up the best and had the longest average lifetime are actually the cheapest cables, or some of the cheapest cables you can get. So I
Wow.
think it's onto something there, but
I think you might be right. And I have maybe it's confession time. It could be confession time.
could be.
I've got I don't know if I should talk about this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be brave. I've got
Yeah.
a cable tucked in the back of my amp that I bring out every now and again, and it's I don't know what you call it, like a kettle. The only thing I think of is a kettle lead, where it's coiled, and
Yep.
it's a cable I've been using now for 25 years, and that God I sound
Oh,
old. And that cable I stole from my school music room.
you didn't.
I did. The point
But
being, it was probably very cheap because it was from a school, and it still works perfectly. So
that's really, I mean, that's not really something to be ashamed of. Well, that you stole it, obviously, but it would be another case if you said that your strings were like 25 years old or something like that, and you stole those.
I stole
Jeez.
other things, so let's not dwell on this point because I stole quite a bit more. But yeah, that break-in wasn't me.
Sal's interesting extreme facts.
Paul Geary was second choice after Clooney for Batman. We're talking 1996, I think. So I guess he dodged a bullet, because that film was a stinker.
Anyway, moving forward, so we had the we had the gear interview,
Yeah.
and then of course the big news that everybody's been really interested in is this Three Sides tour, where they're going to play the third side, Everything Under the Sun, in its entirety. Obviously, there's questions around this, around things like how are they going to play? Is there going to be a
An
string
orchestra or
quartet there
something
or
like that.
something? Yeah, is it the London Philharmonic Orchestra going to turn up for the event? I mean, what's going to happen? What do you expect?
Um, I I'm not sure because I haven't really like read too much about this, but I assume that it's going to be all tracks. I don't think there's going to be any live strings or like any kind of orchestra. Um, and the main reason for that is that we haven't heard anything about that. If they implemented like a 10-piece or 20-piece or even a 4-piece orchestra, that would be something they would like market these gigs with that info. Um, so I don't really think I think it's going to be brilliant because they haven't done it yet, right?
No, no, they haven't, and that's the interesting thing is that I'm pretty sure either I or Adam Sayer or somebody that I was with in the Pornograffitti tour, when we spoke to the band, we asked Gary that question about are you ever going to do three sides, and he said absolutely categorically he would not unless they could do it with a live orchestra of some
Oh,
description. So that made
okay.
me think one of two things has happened. Either one, they're doing it anyway, and he's not had his way,
Yeah.
or two, he has had his way, and there's going to be a surprise, and we're going to have some live strings. So I really hope they do have live strings because that would just be amazing.
Yeah, it would be like goosebumps all over. It would be such a cool thing to see them, like the the third side in its entirety.
Yeah.
Um, so now when you say that, it actually raised some hope for
Yeah, you
me.
never know. Maybe they've hired some kind of cheap Japanese string quartet or something from Three Weddings, and I don't know. I really hope so, man, because it's going to be. If they do this right, it could be probably the most epic thing to ever see live. Because that third side from that album is one of the most, for me anyway, one of the most perfect recordings I've ever heard, both in production, in arrangement, in everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see what we can find out about that one. So before we move to the final thing we're going to talk about, we've had some questions through on our Extremecast page. I'm just going to get those up now. What we've decided is we've spoken to Antti, and between us, we're going to make a note of any questions that are coming up that are quite common. And we're going to ignore any such as when you're going to come to such and such, or we want to see you in blah blah blah, because that just takes up space on the internet, guys. No one really looks at it. So we're going to try and concentrate on some of these questions. Now, we had a question from Mary Leggett that says Badger and Hertzmile tour, yes or no? Now, I assume she means get them both together and do a tour. How would you feel about that?
I read it as like either one, I suppose. But yeah, I mean that she asked if Badger or Her Smile is gonna do a new tour soon. But maybe she meant both of them at the same time. Either way, I think it would be really cool. On the other hand, I would probably not be able to get to see them because I don't think that they would come overseas and tour in Europe. But if they played for an American audience and someone managed to record some stuff, or that they maybe put something out themselves, it would be really fun to see. Because yeah, it was Retro Grenade was actually a really good record, and I think that with the new album, Badger is gonna show off their energy. I think that Pat as a frontman could be amazing. So it would be really, really cool to see them perform. So we have no info on this, not at all. So it's it's our best guesses, but yeah, I really hope they will go on tour.
Yeah, me too. The only way I can see it working is if they go on tour together and maybe even support Extreme or something like that. And if they do it, as you say, I think it'll probably be local around the New England area or something, is what I would guess. Would love to see it though, of course. And what I'd really love to see is an entire evening with perhaps all three bands, maybe with a little matinee performance from the Morning Widows just sprinkled across. That would perhaps cure that itching I've had for the last God knows how many years.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to have seen those guys live. Anyway, we've had another question. Mary's asked again, if the new album is coming out in the spring, supposedly, when will the tour start? A simple answer on that one. I think we don't know. It's definitely coming out in the spring, and if the DVD's anything to go by, then Christ, it could be 2019. But I hope not. And the tour though would probably be a few months after, would be my guess. What do you think, Pontus? That's the normal.
That's a pretty good guess, I would say, because it's hard to speculate in when, or like I wouldn't say if, because it's gonna be when, but since the band has been like not really known for basically, but we know that this has taken a lot of time since the 2010 release of Take Us Alive. It was 2010, right?
2008. No, yes. 2010.
No, that was the album. That was Sausages.
Sausages.
So I mean, things are taking time in the Extreme camp, for the better or worse. But for us, it can probably mean that we should be prepared for delays, I suppose. And to be optimistic, yeah, sure, a summer tour would be amazing, and it's definitely possible. But I don't think we should, expect that.
Hold our breath.
It might be like a fall tour or even a winter tour or something like that. But if everything goes good, I suppose, we might like root for a summer tour.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But that's just speculations. We don't have any insights in anything of this.
Exactly. We're unofficial, remember, guys. But we'll, as I say, we'll try and get some answers to some of the common questions that we are getting by matter, of course, and also that we've had in the last few hours or last 24 hours. Another question from Ruby Tuesday, who says third Hertzmile LP. I really would not be surprised if there's another Hertzmile follow-up, because the band are pretty well received. They seem to gel well together, don't they, as a unit? And the songwriting's pretty strong. So seems to be that Gary's got a similar work ethic, I think, to Nuno and the other boys, because he has a desire to put out music, of course, with his brother, who's a pretty good guitarist, eh?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah,
Um,
we hope so. That would be good. I think you probably agree with me, Pontus, that the more music we can get out of these guys in any form, the better, right?
yeah, I totally agree. The thing is that I'm I hope the focal point is extreme and extreme only for these guys right now. It's really great that they have their side projects or like yeah, stuff like that. But I mean, to go back to Mary's question about the Badger and Her Smile tour, that would be if they would announce like a Badger and Her Smile or Badger or Her Smile tour in the near future. That would only mean that the plans for the upcoming Extreme record has been postponed. So I really hope that we get to see maximum amount of Extreme activity before some new Badger or Her Smiles stuff, basically. Um, yeah, those are my thoughts, basically.
Yeah, I think you've probably echoed a lot of other people here. Definitely more music from any of these other side projects that they have, but not at the expense of the core music from the band.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And Zowie has come up with a very interesting question at the end, which says he'd love. I guess he's aiming this at each of the band members to choose their supergroups, i.e., Otis Redding on vocals, Nuno Bettencourt on guitar, and Bootsy Collins on the bass. I'm going to ask you this question, Pontus,
Uh,
but it's one I think we should put forward to the band if we can, because that would be really, really interesting. So I'm going to ask you then. Think about it. If you had a four-piece, who would you have in that four-piece?
I'm just going to stop you there before I answer that. I'm not sure, but I think that Sao is actually referring to us asking the Extreme Cast members this, or something. Maybe it is the band members, but it would be really really strange to forward that question to the band itself.
Oh, he's a strange guy.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah.
He's a peculiar man. Um, well, anyhow, I think that that's really tough. I would love to see. I mean, you have to include at least one extreme guy,
How
right?
about Nuno on guitar, Pat on bass, Gary singing, and Kevin Figueredo on the drums? How's that?
That's a really good.
That would be an
That's
awesome band, would it not?
They should try that. Should we ask the band that if
Fuck yeah.
they would try that?
Yeah.
I think I would love to see Victor Wooten and on bass and Nuno on guitar. That would be really a good like rhythmic sense. Simon Phillips on the drums, and just gonna say Glenn Hughes on vocals. That would be a really cool experiment. So that's just off the top of my head, what I would like to see. And do you have any ideas yourself?
Desperately trying to think then while you were talking. If I'm brutally honest, I'm really struggling. So I've really got a huge fascination for David Bowie these days, and I would say you're not going to find a better frontman. So I would say probably David Bowie. I'm not going to be contentious here. I will say Nuno on guitar, sharing guitar with Prince. So
That's good.
Not
That's
as in
clever.
one guitar between the two of them, because that'd be a bit weird. But if you had the two of them, sort of interplaying between each other on some, can you imagine a blues guitar ballad, some sort of guitar off with the two of them playing separate solos? That would just be that would be it for me, with David Bowie coming in then at that point.
That would be awesome.
It would be
That
pretty
would be
awesome.
really awesome.
I think for me, there's only one. As much as I love Pat, that my favourite bassist of all time, if you take Extreme aside, is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get a bit of a funk theme here, and of course David Bowie had a bit of a funk era as well, with some of his songs. So it's just drums. Now drums I struggle a bit with, because there's so many great drummers. But I'm going to go back to Jeff Concey, because part of his back catalogue, and if you look on his YouTube channel, there's a lot of funk tracks he puts down where he does on sort of demonstrations and what do they call them when you go and you do a small set in a music store or something, those kind of things.
Oh, like a clinic or something
A
like
clinic,
that.
that's right. He does that kind of stuff, and he's got the most perfect timing. It hits really hard, but sense of rhythm is phenomenal. So that'll probably be my 5-piece, which would be David Bowie, Nuno and Prince on guitars, Flea on bass, and then Jeff Conte on the drums. And I'm sorry to all the world-class drummers and bassists and other guitarists and singers that I've missed off there, but for me that would be a really interesting mix.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear what other people think. What's your supergroup? Who would make that up? I think we'll ask that question maybe on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
All
That
right,
would be,
so we probably have
that
to
would be
start.
great.
Yeah, it would be great, absolutely. So we'll follow up on that. We're going to probably have to cut it short, I think, here in a minute, Pontus, because we've been going for over an hour. So this
Didn't we agree to like 25 minutes?
25
max,
minutes.
or tops?
This part of the call is 52 minutes, and I think we've recorded another 20 minutes already, so we may have to get Antti to edit some of it out. There's one topic we were going to have a quick chat about, and I don't know about you, but I think we should probably not go into detail on the subject, other to talk about or send a message out to people that think it's okay to break in and steal other people's privacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's what is there to say? It's an act of like real low lives that can't really respect other people's privacy, and it's really disrespectful. And we, what do you say? We,
Wow, I can tell you what. Should we count to 3 and say what we're thinking?
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
1, 2, 3.
Fuck
you,
you,
bitches, whoever you are.
yeah. So that is pretty much everything. Don't hack people's stuff, and yeah, that's the moral of this hour-long podcast.
Yeah,
Brought to you
absolutely.
by an I don't know, a Swede. Is that everything I can come up with?
A Brit and a Swede, and it's going to be edited by a Finn.
Yeah.
True multiculturalism right there.
Don't forget, it's brought to you by Sausages The Rock.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Pontus. Speak to you soon, buddy.
Cheers, man. See you next time.
Bye.
It's pretty. Yeah, I like it. Just been fooling about with it for a few months now. Very delicate.
It's a bit of a departure from the kind of thing you normally play.
Yeah, well, it's part of a trilogy, really, a musical trilogy that I'm doing in D minor, which I always find is really the saddest of all keys, really. I don't know why, but it makes people weep instantly to play a... It's a horn part.
It's very pretty.
You know, just simple lines intertwining. You know, very much like I'm really influenced by Mozart and Bach, and it's sort of in between though. It's like a Mach piece, really.
What do you call this?
Well, this piece is called Lick My Love Pump.